you cannot learn programming in a couple minutes. Now, even watch my last video, the word I forgot was data types. But before we jump into that, let's start with the most important, not the most important, but the most important stuff in any single programming language: variables. What are variables? Think of them as boxes that hold your data. So it's kind of like a container for you to store your data in. What are some things you need to know about variables? We have variable naming. There are some rules you need to follow when naming a variable. For example, they can consist of letters, both lowercase and uppercase, digits, and underscores. Although you can have all those things, your name can never start with a number, but you can start with a letter and an underscore. Python is case sensitive, which means if I have a capital M somewhere in between my code and I write that same thing word for word, but I change that into a small letter, that's a whole new variable. It's not like the way you can have your name in small letter and capital letter. It doesn't work that way. And it's recommended to use descriptive letters. Then for assessment, we have this stuff in Python called an assessment um, operator. That is just your normal equal sign. So instead of it saying this is, let's say we have a variable called name and my name is praise, I want to put the data type praise, I want to put the data value praise into that variable container. Instead of it being name is equals to praise, it's going to be saying praise is saved under the variable name. So it's just going to be something like this: name. Oh, sorry, it's not your writing. Okay, name is equals to praise. Don't ask why I'm putting this stuff here. It's when we get into data types, you're gonna see it. Next, we have variable reassignment. So now here I have saved my variable name as praise, which by the way I am using Visual Studio Code. Remember, we also installed PyCharm on Visual Studio Code now. So if I were to, let's say, come here and change the value of name to maybe something like my surname or Basi, and I save it, and let's say I wanted to print it. If I save this and I run it, it's going to print the last word that was assigned. Okay, next thing we have variable usage. So you can see what I did here when I was working with print. As I wanted to print the variable, I just called print and the name. If I'm working with an operator, let's say I want to add it, I can just call it. So instead of having to call the word I want to work with, I will just call the variable. That's one of the reasons why we have variables. It makes using data in our system easier. Next, we have variable scope. So there are so many types of scopes. We have the global scope and the local scope. The name explains it. Global scope means the variable can be accessed within the whole program, while local scope means it can only be accessed within a certain block or in Python, a function. We are going to jump into that in a couple videos down the line. But next, let's get into everyone's favorite: data types. Data types are kind of like the different types of data. Oh, if I explain this like this in secondary school, I would have gotten beaten. It's like, if I explain the word, do not use the word as a definition. But fuck it, data types are the types of data that you have in a programming language. Different programming languages have their different types, but in Python we have integers, which are whole numbers. For example, we can have something like, so you can have something like age is equals to 20. So now you're saying, when we do, let me not jump to that. Next we have float. Floats are similar to integers, but they have decimal points, so we can have it 0.5. And then we have strings. Now this is where things get a bit different. So let's go back to the example we used earlier. We have name is equals to praise. A string is a collection of characters. Now, when we're doing C and C++, I've never done that. But when I was doing C and C++, we had another data type called characters, which are single letters, single alphabet. Then a collection of characters are strings. So string is basically a collection of characters. In Python, we don't have character as a data type. We just have strings. Strings are usually enclosed in inverted commas. It can either be a double inverted comma or a single inverted comma. Praise right now is a string. But even if I were to, let's say, put 5 here, and let's say we want to print out the data type. So to do this, we're going to do hold on with me. We're going to do print type in brackets. Remember how to make use of variables, writing what variable you want to access, save it, and we're going to run our file. Which I forgot to tell you how to run the file. Even from your file, it's Python and the name of your file, including the extension. And when you're saving a Python file, obviously you save it with .py, because who doesn't know that? So if you want to run the file, same thing on my file is going to be Python file.py, and as you can see, it's a string. So as long as it's enclosed in an inverted comma, it's going to be treated as a string, which means if we have 5 plus 4, it's going to give us 54. No, it's going to give us an error. You cannot concatenate strings and you cannot concatenate strings and integers. We'll jump into that shortly. Next, we have boolean. So boolean is true or false. So it's basically true or false. We're going to jump into all these. We're going to explain further shortly. Then we have list. List is more of a data structure. It's a collection of different data types, and lists are declared using a square bracket. So it's usually in the square bracket. Then let's say you want a list of numbers, just have everything inside this bracket like this, and then we can also access it within. So we're going to work on methods that affect each of these data types shortly. I just want to introduce you to them. Next, we have dictionaries. So dictionaries is, you know, a dictionary. A dictionary is a collection of name and value elements. So for example, in your normal dictionary, you have a word you're looking for and you have the definition. So key and value, sorry. So in this dictionary, we can have, let's say, name as the key here, which is what we're going to be using to access the value we want. And then we're going to have the main value, which is my beautiful name, praise. If you don't know that, get that in your head. If you want to have an extra value, you just add a comma, repeat process, age. And you remember, when you're working with integers, you do not need to enclose it in the square bracket, so we're just going to put the number we want to assign. So yeah, that is basically everything variables. In the next video, we're going to be talking on methods that affect all these variables.